type of fighter he is, and I said I'm going to take his soul, and I said I'm going to see it leaving his body round after round, and when the time comes, some people are just there to get knocked out. And I said it, and that's exactly what happened. See, fighting is not just about the physicality. I know you see someone that looks like a Greek god standing in front of you right now, but I understand the psychology.
There was a time when Anthony Joshua stood at the very top of the heavyweight division. He wasn't just a world champion. He was the biggest name in British boxing, with an Olympic gold medal and 2 reigns as unified heavyweight champion. He looked unstoppable and seemed destined to rule the sport for years. His image was everywhere, from billboards and magazine covers to the bedroom walls of young fans who dreamed of following in his footsteps. But as time passed, everything changed in ways few people expected. Now at just 35 years old, seeing how Joshua's journey has unfolded feels like more than simple disappointment. It has become truly heartbreaking. Think back to September 2023, when the warning signs became impossible to overlook. Daniel Dubois, a fighter many had written off before the opening bell, landed a crushing right hand that did more than send Anthony Joshua to the canvas. It shattered the image of invincibility that had followed him for years. Inside Wembley Stadium, nearly 90,000 fans were left in stunned silence as British boxing's biggest star fell under the brightest lights. From that night on, the conversation around Joshua was never the same. The belief that he was unbeatable disappeared, revealing a truth that had been there all along. He was never truly untouchable.
There he is, young guy we invested in nearly 10 years ago, in with the biggest name, I suppose, that in the last God knows how many years in British boxing. He absolutely took him apart, established himself as being one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, and it was one of the most emphatic stoppages in the heavyweight division.
After that night, analysts, boxing pundits, and former world champions all weighed in, and very few had anything positive to say. The biggest question quickly became whether Anthony Joshua had reached the end of the road. Headlines everywhere began asking if his best days were behind him. A fighter once expected to rule the heavyweight division for a whole generation was now being talked about as someone nearing the end of his career. The hardest part was that deep down, many people watching believed something inside Joshua had truly changed.
And what does that mean now? We're going to run away. We're going to live to fight another day. And that's what I'm a warrior. And also, before I finish, we have to give credit to our opponent as well, Daniel. Even though when I sign up to fight opponents, I don't really like him in my head anymore. But now it's done, I take my hat off to him and say, well done, Tim and his team. And also thank you to my team as well for the way they prepared me. And there was a few mistakes in there, but that's the name of the game.
Listen closely to this interview, and it's hard not to notice the difference. The confidence that once defined Anthony Joshua no longer comes across the way it used to. In its place is a quieter, more uncertain version of the man fans once saw as unstoppable. This isn't someone simply reflecting on a tough night in the ring. Instead, it feels like a man trying to figure out what the next chapter of his life and career is supposed to look like.
I told him I think he's an asset to boxing, he's an asset to the fight game. Don't be discouraged, and I respect you regardless. I said it before and I still stand on it. I know we had to fight, but that's what I say I mean. So I just told him, like, keep your head high. And also, lastly, I said if he hears this in Cameroon, I know he's got his charity and his organisation, also people that are trying to make it from Africa over to different continents, people that are struggling. I just said I want to link up with him and see if we can do some good work for the African community.
Anthony Joshua set out to rebuild his career one step at a time, taking each fight as another chance to prove himself. He picked up victories along the way, some convincing, others far less so. But the full trust of the fans never truly came back. Every performance was picked apart, and even stories of sparring knockdowns spread quickly across the internet. The dominant, unstoppable heavyweight people remembered from years earlier no longer seemed to be there, and almost everyone could sense it, even if few were willing to say it out loud. Then, just 9 days before one of the most painful moments of his life, Joshua celebrated a win over Jake Paul in Miami. completely unaware of the devastating news waiting for him back home.
It is the men who were killed in a car crash in Nigeria, in which the British boxer was injured. Sinagami and Lateef Lats Ayodele were pronounced dead at the scene after a vehicle they were travelling in with Joshua collided with a stationary truck on a busy expressway near Lagos. Eddie Hearn, who is the chair of Matchroom Boxing, which is Joshua's promoter, described Gami and Ayodele as two great men, adding that his thoughts and deepest prayers are with everyone. Joshua was rescued from the wreckage alongside the driver and taken.
On December 29, 2025, Anthony Joshua was in Nigeria, the homeland of his family, spending the holiday season with the people who meant the most to him. Among them were two men who were far more than just members of his team. They had become like family over the years. One was his longtime strength and conditioning coach, who had worked alongside him for more than a decade. The other was his personal trainer and one of his closest lifelong friends. That morning, while traveling along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the SUV crashed into a stationary truck. Joshua survived the accident, but both of the men who had stood by his side for so many years tragically lost their lives. What makes the tragedy even harder to grasp is what happened just hours before the accident. Anthony Joshua and his team had shared a video online, smiling, laughing, and playing table tennis together, never knowing it would become one of the last memories they would create. For more than a decade, his strength and conditioning coach had helped turn Joshua into a world-class heavyweight champion, while another key member had been by his side from the earliest days of his career through the biggest nights of his life in boxing. Then, in a single moment on a highway thousands of miles from home, both men were gone. Joshua survived the crash with only minor injuries, but the emotional loss was beyond measure.
There's what I want, and then there's reality. So this is the best way I could reach out to all of you far and wide, worldwide, who are showing so much love, care, support through that tragic, traumatic time where we lost Lats and Sina in Nigeria. Look, the last time I spoke to you guys was in Miami. You know, we had so many plans to wrap up 2025, and we were on a mission. We were on a mission. We went back home, went to see our families, and everything just got flipped upside on its head. And yeah, it's God's the best planner. We can't plan. We can plan to the best of our capabilities, but you know, that was such a...
He returned to Britain before the funerals had even taken place, carrying a weight that had nothing to do with championship belts or his place in the heavyweight division. In the quiet that followed, Anthony Joshua faced a challenge far greater than any opponent he had ever met inside the ring. He was forced to ask himself a question no fighter is ever ready for. After losing the very men who helped shape him into a world champion, how do you find the strength and motivation to fight again? By July 2026, all eyes were on Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, for a comeback that few people really knew what to expect from. Standing across the ring was Christian Pina, the undefeated Albanian knockout artist who had built a perfect record without ever needing the judges' scorecards. On the other side was Anthony Joshua, returning after more than a year away from competition. He wasn't just stepping back into the ring after a long break. He was carrying the emotional weight of a heartbreaking loss that most people could barely begin to understand.
Anthony Joshua, you got to keep those hands nice and high.
In right hand, Joshua and he put problems here in the opening minute of the...
Then everything changed in an instant. Christian Pina unloaded a devastating right uppercut that sent Anthony Joshua crashing to the canvas. In that one dramatic moment, all the doubts, criticism, and questions about Joshua's decline seemed to come alive in front of a global audience. It felt like every concern people had raised about his future in the sport was being confirmed right there in the ring.
He doesn't look steady at all, AJ, and he's bundled over to the floor, and it's actually...
For a moment, it looked like the final chapter of Anthony Joshua's remarkable career was playing out right in front of everyone. Many fans watching believed there was only one path left, retirement. But everything changed during the break between rounds. Something happened in Joshua's corner that reignited a fire inside him. Whether it was the words from his team or a powerful memory that crossed his mind, nobody really knows. What was clear, though, was that when he came out for the second round, he looked like a completely different fighter.
Trying to get his jab going, but still unsteady. Another right from...
Then came the comeback that almost nobody expected. Anthony Joshua unloaded a furious flurry of punches before connecting with a heavy right hook that sent Christian Pina tumbling through the ropes. The crowd inside the Jeddah Superdome exploded with excitement as the momentum swung in a major way. Even Alexander Usyk, watching from ringside, looked shocked by the incredible turnaround happening right in front of him.
To be doing this again, to perform in front of all of us. Yeah. How difficult have it been for you, AJ?
It's been tough. But
that was the moment when this story became far more than just a boxing comeback. Fighting back tears, Anthony Joshua gave the win to the two men he had lost. He said their spirit carried him through the fight and made it clear they were with him the whole time. In that emotional moment, the victory stopped being about belts, fame, or career goals. Instead, it turned into a sign of strength, a way to remember the people who helped shape his path, and to show himself that no matter how hard life hit him, he could still get back up